Welcome to Authentic Walk with God. Today's podcast is actually about Christians who worship the Lord genuinely, who serve God in various settings such as a local church or a fellowship or anywhere that the Lord's name is honored and glorified. But these people receive all kinds of discouragement from those outside and even some people inside the church for what they do. Sometimes they are told that their worship of God is an exercise in futility. Let me share with you today from Paul's letter to the Christians in Galatia regarding good works and where they fall in the Christian faith and service. I read from Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 through 9. Do not be deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Today's topic is do not give up. In our relationship with God and in doing His work, discouragements come from time to time. Sometimes they come from non-Christians, and at other times they come from fellow Christians, and sometimes from fellow church members or fellowship members. The theme of Paul's letter to Galatians is salvation by grace. The Gentile community needed to be assured that Christ was sufficient for their salvation, and that the good deeds which they were expected to perform was an important aspect of their newfound faith in Christ, in order to show appreciation to Him for their salvation. At the time Paul was writing this letter, the Galatian churches were facing a double threat involving purity of doctrine and purity of conduct. Certain individuals were in that area with wrong teaching, perverting the gospel of Christ. You find this in Galatians chapter 1 verse 7 and then chapter 5 verse 10. These individuals insisted that while salvation of Christ works were also necessary for salvation. In other words, salvation in Christ, yes, but one has to complement it with good works. To this Judaism or legalist error, the Galatians were already beginning to yield, thus returning to a bondage of observing days, months, years, and times. Paul then, in the concluding chapter of this letter, urges the Christian believers in Galatia to continue in good works, not as a condition for their salvation, but as evidence of their salvation. He makes it clear to them that God cannot be mocked. Anyone who tries to mock God by the way he lives his life or by the things he does for God is deceiving himself and not God, because everybody must reap what he sows. The Bible everywhere describes men as reaping what they sow and as receiving not the bare seed sown, but the harvest of their actions. When we test this common and pervading metaphor by our experience, we find it true. Our actions are fertile, and we do have to eat the fruit they yield. Every time we take a decisive and deliberate step, we set forces in motion which soon slip from our control. But it's we who have set them going, and we are held responsible for whatever effects they produce. So reaping in this passage has definite connection to reward. This reward of our work. It is the reward of our work. And so the word whatever is crucial here. Whatsoever, both in kind and in degree. This law runs through all creation, from the natural up to the supernatural life, from the world of sensation to the world of spirits, from this earthly existence to life eternal. The what and the how much are proportionate. What a person labors for, that he, for the most part, achieves. What a person labors for, that he achieves, and in proportion to his labor. In reference to labor and reward, we cannot reap without previous sowing. We cannot reap where we have not sown. Inferior seed will yield a poor return. We must patiently wait for our crop till due season. In reference to divine will and operation, God is faithful. He will not fail those who sow in dependence upon him. This is the reason Paul admonishes us to continue to do well, because God has set aside a time to reward us. At the present time, we may be mocked, ridiculed, and ostracized, taken advantage of for doing well, but a time is coming when we will laugh. Let us not join the bandwagon of those who think they are clever. They are in the church quite all right, but they mock God by living the way they like and by investing little or nothing in God's programs and projects. They do not engage in evangelism. They're just in the church, yielding no fruits. They will certainly one day reap what they have sown, the seed of indolence. Once again, it is time to, examine ourselves and let God help us to discover who we are in the faith and how we are functioning. Seasons come and go. There is a time to sow and a time to reap. Let us continue to sow. Let us refuse to be discouraged either by those outside the church or by those inside the church. Let us not give up, because a time of harvest will surely come, and we will reap bountiful harvest if we do not give up now. If you find time, please read Matthew chapter 25 from verse 34 and end it at verse 36, and you will get more knowledge and information about what God is preparing for those who continue to sow in his field, and those who continue to be faithful to him, and those who continue to allow him to function in their lives. Those who know that doing things for God is not for salvation, it's just because it's a proof of your salvation. And working for the Lord and reaching lost souls for him and helping his church take the gospel to everywhere in the world, and also doing your own little things to help people in need in the name of the Lord. It's not in vain. Continue to do good works because you have been saved. Good work does not save anybody, but it's an evidence of your salvation. And at the end, God will reward you. Once again, have a wonderful week. And this is your brother, Peter Lemadin Dongwachko, Director, Center for Family Life and Pastoral Care, Owerri, Nigeria. Let's meet again next week.